This is exciting.
Thank you for taking time out. हम लोग काफी
Only for you. And always anything for you.
You know, I really wanted to have a conversation with a successful entrepreneur.
Thank you. And I appreciate that you think I'm one. I've been at it for 15 years.
Mashallah.
And I never tire of hearing that.
One fine day we hear, Meherbano Sethi has started a makeup brand.
Yes.
लेकिन वो सारी जो उसके पीछे सालों की struggle होगी और पता नहीं क्या क्या back stories होती हैं.
The backstories are hilarious.
You
And
must tell me.
so basically, apparently, I said to my best friend in grade 3, Binesh, she reminded me of this very recently. I had no memory of it. But she said that when I was in grade 3, I said, I'm either going to grow up to be a rock star. I loved Madonna at the time. Or I'm going to have my own makeup brand. And the reason was
in grade 3.
In grade 3 or grade 4, she says.
Amazing.
So I had this, this conviction. My grandmother and my mother have been great influences on just the love of makeup. Specifically makeup, not skincare so much.
Okay.
But the way they used to collect it, the way they kind of wore it almost like armor. And the ceremonial thing of collecting. And that you don't find, at that time especially, you had to wait for somebody to travel.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that much variety, right? So just the collection of it and the way they valued it.
Amazing.
So
that used to be your toy box.
That was my toy box. And my mother never really allowed me to. I was too afraid. She had a fabulous vanity. My grandmother, God bless her, I lost her recently. But she used to allow me. I remember spending afternoons at hers. I was the first and only grandchild at the time. And she used to actually let me go through her stuff. So that's the backstory. And then I just believed that it was my calling because the circumstances aligned themselves in a way that this happened. By vocation, I'm a student of history, international relations. I was meant to be in the UN, lifetime of diplomatic service. But here we are.
That's what you were training for?
That's what I have a degree for.
Oh my goodness.
I came to Pakistan because my mother was terminally ill. And, I gave up that space at The Hague at the time for my career. And then, it's so competitive. I lost my place. But I think it was great because I got to spend that time with her. Otherwise, I would have regretted it.
Of course.
But yeah, deeply entrenched in makeup, consumer goods. And also, you just said that, when you heard that I was starting makeup, you guys don't understand how much of an influence you guys have been over the years. Yes. I mean, it's always been, I get that energy from you, rooting for me. Unfortunately, it wasn't true of everyone in the industry.
In your circle?
Not in my circle, in the industry, generally. There was a lot of, looking down on it or just catty comments at the time. It was just, I don't think they meant it. I think it just kind of shook them up. And at that time, so in 2006, 2007, we still didn't have so much internet and Instagram.
Yeah.
And people were not celebrating teamwork or women for women. This is pre all of that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of chatter, bitchiness. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And I faced my share of it. In fact, one lady came up to me and she said, desi makeup. I'll never forget that. I just found it so malicious.
Yeah. Like she used the word desi to insult you.
The word was desi makeup. I'm not ever going to buy desi makeup, but I'm sure you'll find some market for it.
And without taking names, if you don't want to, was this lady from the industry?
Yes, and I'm not taking names.
Oh, man.
She's actually over the years kind of been won over
There you go. You won her heart finally.
In the sense that she had some critical import issues and came to me and I helped her.
Oh.
So I think she likes me now.
Right. Yeah. But when you start, I wanted to actually know, now that you've told me that you did your degrees in history.
Yeah, international relations.
International relations. Now, when you were, what rekindled the love? Because I get the grade 3 story.
Yeah.
But what happened when you were older that got you into it?
The rekindling was that when I came back after my mother passed away shortly after. Long story short, I've been brought up by my father. Okay, so he's, most of my upbringing has been by him, very close to him. He's an entrepreneur, he's a workaholic, he just turned 70. 9 to 7 he's in the office. The word retirement is like a gali, and he loves it. That's what he loves, and he's self-made, despite coming from a very wealthy family. But his business he started himself from scratch in 1982. Right. He, I think, felt that, ek to I'm an only child, upar se I'm a girl. There was always a sense of vulnerability both my parents felt, and it kind of affected me also. That, I'm a girl, I'm the only child. It just some sense of security so I think my dad's greatest gift to me was that he said, look, you can't every day just go for your blow dries, and then I used to sleep a lot, and I still sleep a lot, as
I think you were healing. I think you were healing
I was
then.
healing, and I was just very traumatized.
Yeah.
I'd come back from Boston after 5 years. And it was not the Lahore of today.
Yeah.
And there was no Facebook.
Yeah.
And, I was deeply sort of, the acclimatization was not happening.
And going through loss of a loved one.
Right.
And then
all
being
my
displaced.
best friends and being displaced.
Yeah.
So, suddenly I'm back in my childhood room, where previously I had my own apartment and, I was busy doing something. So anyway, he just put his foot down after about a year and he said, you need to do something. It so happens that his own business, it's now very interesting to me. But at the time, I was not interested at all. He's in the energy industry.
Oh, okay.
Also, my dad's business is almost, it's very, it's a bit of not a one-man show, but it's very much in his control. The structure,
nuclear.
It's very nuclear. The structure isn't such that you can just get inducted quickly. So he said, look, tell me what you want to do. So that's when I started thinking. And my first idea was, I wanted to actually have a shoe brand. Okay. Wouldn't that have been cool? I was actually looking into shoes, and I think that would have been very cool, okay, at the time. Now we have some great brands here.
Yeah.
Still few, but good ones. And we have lots of imports from China. But us waqt, there was very limited. Again, it was all dependent on when you traveled.
Right.
So I wanted to do shoes, but when I started doing the research, we realized that shoes ke minimum orders are very, very high. Because imagine there's one style,
right,
and you need to get it in all those sizes. So that was kind of getting, and then I just, then I realized that, okay, what's the next consumer good that I love so much? And it was makeup. And then I started researching formulas, suppliers, I went to a couple of trade shows. Okay. That's where it really opened my eyes, and it got my juices flowing and I was just really passionate about it. And we started Luscious Cosmetics with 7 products. And just Aabroo jab wo shipment land ki thi na, they all came together. And it was about like 2 floors of my office. Were chock-a-block full of dabbas.
Oh my god, how exciting.
And then and there was no e-commerce, okay? And I was like, oh my god, now my father's invested in this.
Right.
It was seed money.
अब वो stock आ गया.
अब आ गया, अब इसको बेचेंगे कैसे? And there, the great support that I had was from Numan, my husband, who I pulled out of the corporate world, corporate consumer goods. And, you know, because he saw how passionate I was. So finally, then he stepped in and we built our own distribution, which, by the way, is a great asset for us now. Because वो पूरा जो network है, built over 15 years and credibility built over 15 years, that's quite an asset to us.
So you didn't have a physical store?
We didn't have our own store.
That's not how you had planned it either.
No. And we've
So
never had it. There's a logic to it. उसकी logic ये है कि I believe that makeup thrives in comparison shopping. So, you know, you walk into a store, right?
Right.
And you would know this. कि you want to buy a lipstick, you'll buy one from one brand, you'll buy one from another.
Right. You test it on your hand.
You test it on your hands, you swatch it.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the concept. And we didn't have enough SKUs. Matlab 7 products ke saath you can't fill up a shop. So and we still don't have enough SKUs.
Right.
For retail, for your own stores, there's a formula.
Right.
The formula is apparently mujhe nahi aata, but it's some square footage. Like you have to make a certain amount of money per square foot of the space you have to break even. And not to mention profitability, right? So that's why we never thought about it. We did a couple of experiments recently, which failed.
Right.
Pre-corona. But we do best in store model.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, it's a formula. And it's a formula a lot, in fact, most makeup brands use.
You're absolutely right.
You don't really need a brick and mortar sort of setup.
You're absolutely right. And an interesting thing is that, look, you have to always remember all the brands that you look at Aabroo, big or small, whether they're in the US, whether they're in the UK, whether they're in India even. Some great brands coming out of India. They're all backed by venture capital.
Right.
We, not by choice, but by
Majboori.
but not lack of resources, right? Ab now, brands are raising money, you know, venture capital is coming in.
Right.
I see a lot of that activity. It's very cool.
Right.
What I'm a bit upset or disappointed with is that most of it is towards the tech sector.
Right.
But consumer goods, maybe slowly it's trickling in.
Right.
So, you know, so we're a bootstrapped, self-funded brand. We don't have the option to start opening stores and maintaining them.
Of course. Since you got the idea, let's say since you, even the shoe idea, right? Because quickly after that you changed it to the makeup brand idea.
Yeah.
But from the time that you got the idea to you, like how long did it take? Months or years till you actually
from the day
built?
I kind of started dabbling in it to the day I got the goods in my warehouse, it was about 3 years.
Wow.
2.5 years.
I mean, I really want you to, and that's why I wanted you to touch on this topic, because people usually think, oh, हाँ, you know, idea होगा, of course she's rich, इसने यूँ किया, ऐसे करके यूँ किया होगा, बुला लिया होगा, and it's not.
It's so funny, Aabroo, like I get a lot of that. Oh, she's rich. I mean, first of all, the seed money I got from my dad was not unlimited, and there was no marketing budget, by the way.
Right.
And it was like any business, you know, there's seed money.
Right.
It's not like you're handed crores and crores to like do whatever with.
Yeah.
Number 2, you could be anybody in the world, okay? You could be rich, not rich, tall, short, celebrity, non-celebrity. The consumer is the most powerful. Putting their money to buy something, that's how they vote for you, right? Or that's how they support you.
Right.
And Alhamdulillah, it's been 15 years. We sell, our product sells.
Right.
You might buy something once to please me or to support me, but you're not going to go buy the whole range unless you really like it or unless there's a need for it.
Right.
So yes, I mean it, and I'll tell you, Aabroo is still, it's tough, huh? I'm not complaining. But when I started my business, the dollar was at 56 rupees. Today on the open market, the dollar is at 210 rupees. Our margins are disappearing. And I have some amazing news I want to tell you also about how we're addressing this. But I don't know if you know, but all of our products are imported. We don't have our own manufacturing facilities, which is also very common.
Right.
So MAC doesn't have their own manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
I think 99.9% brands don't.
But how do you then?
So there are cosmetic manufacturing factories all over the world.
Right.
Different tiers, different qualities, whatever. But the top ones we've worked with from day one.
Right.
And they service all brands.
Right.
So.
And how do they customize it for you, or do you just pick up the formulas that are available?
There are two ways.
Right.
They have a formula library, so they pitch new formulas to you.
Oh, amazing! So they do the R&D themselves.
They do the R&D, but the only downside is that then it's not proprietary. So, for example, they'll sell that same formula to other brands, but with our positioning, with our pricing, we don't really have a problem with that. As long as, for example, we share a formula with Bobbi Brown, like the exact same formula. So, you know, you're paying
so it's not exclusive.
$1,100.
Right.
You're paying $1,100, and then you're also paying $30, but it's the same exact formula, right? It's not exclusive.
Amazing.
Exclusive,
I mean, that's pretty amazing. They've kind of
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's great for business owners like you.
Industry, and you know, at the time I started, tab to the whole indie concept, which we now call indie brands, which are celebrated, and you know, even retailers like Sephora, उन्होंने अपना एक पूरा section बना दिया है, next big thing to support indie brands, especially women owned, black owned, people of color owned, and indie,
marginalized sort
and
of.
indie, right? In 2007, you went to somebody and you know you tried to give them a Luscious blush, and they were like, "जी कहाँ का brand है?"
Right.
And it was the same in the US also. Like people only wanted to buy CoverGirl and Bobbi Brown and MAC. It took a few years for the whole indie movement to start. With Luscious Cosmetics, now what we're doing, Aabroo, to combat the dollar, and you know that there's a ban on cosmetics right now, right? Which is our rosy roti.
Yep.
I have been doing 6 months. I've been planning. It was my spider sense, so to speak. I'm pivoting to local manufacturing, and I think the time now is right. One of the reasons we always outsourced manufacturing, A, because we could, B, because it was much easier than setting up manufacturing here, and C, because nobody wanted made in Pakistan. It was considered a slur.
Yeah.
Now, made in Pakistan is preferred, and people are, especially Gen Z is understanding that. And to put it very simply, wherever it's made, as long as there's quality and integrity, the domestic market wants it, because price, you know, of imported items is just beyond reach now, especially currently.
Right.
And it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime.
But when you say you're going to start manufacturing here, I mean, is there a setup?
Yes.
Or are you doing that private, like for your own brand, you're creating it?
So it's really exciting. Wish me luck. I think.
Always good luck.
Yeah, thank you. So we're coming out with a whole fabulous skincare line, which is unisex. It's called Super Skin Labs. Do you like the name?
Love it, love it.
Okay, so it's Super Skin Labs. It's serums, but all problem solving stuff. It's not a dupe of the ordinary. Okay, so this is stuff my way, where I'm not selling you 5 serums that you have to learn how to layer together. I'm selling you one serum depending on what your concern is. So there's the anti-acne.
Please, midlife acne that I'm facing.
So am I, by the way, and I've been testing the acne serum. It's actually clarified. There's salicylic acid, there's all the nice stuff, the AHA, BHA acids, and a nice mix of them.
Right.
So that, you were asking me about R&D. All the R&D I've invested in, those are our proprietary formulas in skincare. In skincare, it makes a lot more sense because you don't want your competitors making the same thing. In color, you can get away with it. Super Skin Labs is coming out later this year.
Inshallah.
comprehensive, and what I'm really excited about is that it's unisex. So men and women.
Very important, and I think it's there because men are chup chup ke le hi rahe hain wo products khawateen ke.
That, and also instead of going after them with the fair men's kind of thing, there's a class of consumer that just wants basic skincare. So it's not even about being metro or liberal. It's like my husband wants a very moisturizing cream because he's aging or usko dryness hoti hai. Right? So it's not necessarily even vanity.
They have the same issues that we do. They have the whole,
the acne,
the sunburn issues, itna sara aging, wrinkling, all of that. But
so
but I thought maybe you're also doing the makeup line. वो नहीं आप कर रही.
Makeup line, in fact, let's talk about it. Let's use this as a brainstorming session.
Sure.
With makeup, currently, we're very upset. I don't look it, but meri sari shipments phasi hui hai. We're out of stock of about 30% of products here because there's an import ban. And I believe we have an IMF default payment coming up. We don't have dollars. There's issues. So with color, you need a specialized machine for every product you make.
When you say with color, what does that?
With makeup.
Okay.
Sorry, good question. As opposed to skincare.
Right.
So this is industry language. Color and skin.
Okay.
Skincare products ke liye typically you just need filling machines.
Okay.
So one filling machine, excuse me, can probably fill 20 different types of products for you. You put it into a drum and the filling machine fills into bottles, okay?
All right.
And you can put anything in the drum.
Right.
So it could be first run would be your vitamin C serum, then you clean out the machine, then you do your niacinamide serum, okay?
So the same equipment, same process can be used for different, all right.
And there's a lot less QC, quality assurance required. Color cosmetics are very finicky, okay? Which is why hamare contract manufacturers also, there's one factory in Germany that only makes pencils. In fact, do you remember our color pencils when we were kids? Schwann Stabilo, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're the leaders in making pencils. So they don't just
pencils.
make, and Faber-Castell also. Faber-Castell or Faber-Castell? Castell. I just remember calling them Castle.
I know, so I was 43 years old when I checked it online. I was like, what?
So both of them, based in Germany, specialize in pencils. There are very few other factories located in China who do pencils, and then nobody else.
Oh my god.
So
it's like a monopoly almost.
Almost, yes. So they no, and
but
it's
is
also
it special?
It's specialty.
Okay.
Yes, it's expensive, but of course there's different tiers depending on what kind of wood you use, what ingredients you use, but yes. So I'm trying to explain that ye color makeup ki production is very specialized. That means that if I have 32 products, I need about 15 different machines.
Whoa.
Powder pressing, alada. Lipstick filling, alada. Gloss type liquid filling, alada. Do you understand the scale of the investment?
Yeah, I just suddenly realized.
Right? That's why it's also not viable. You don't typically find brands that have their own manufacturing.
So all of them are basically...
It's the business is like this. It's contract manufactured. Okay? One of the brands that has its own manufacturing
of all their products.
Of all their products is ColourPop in the US.
Wow,
right?
And I've never even...
ColourPop is actually a factory itself. They even make for other people. But the thing with ColourPop is that because they own it, they'll only make eyeshadow palettes and lipsticks. That's what they're known for. So that means that they have two types of machines, and that's all they make. You won't see them coming out suddenly with a mascara. Mascara, incidentally, the best in the world is Italian. My goal is that if Luscious Cosmetics has to survive as Pakistan's largest makeup brand for the next, say, 50 years, we need to pivot to local manufacturing. Import ban khul bhi jayega na.
Right. There's a
cost
possibility.
of finished goods has again pegged to the dollar.
Right.
And number two, our customs duties are just hideous.
Right. And I was reading in one of the articles that an interview on you, where you had mentioned that during COVID, for instance, you had that issue of air freight and sea freight ka jo koi issue ho raha tha. So I mean, those things also keep coming up. You never know.
They actually have never in my career. Aabroo, COVID was just another a different kind of a set of circumstances. I think this was my gift to my future self, that I structured the company properly.
Right.
And to be honest, both are taking a lot of time. But True and Luscious is in growth phase, and I've got a team for that too, but a very small one. But I'm very dedicated to growing it. So the thing is that we have shockingly little competition.
Right.
I have great hopes that I can eventually in 5 years make everything here to the same standards. Now, new challenge.
That would be something. I mean, but would you also then start with, let's say, maybe 1 or 2 machines that produce?
Yes. So we were
certain
doing
numbers?
this. We were doing this exercise this morning, and I love the questions you ask, Aabroo. You're so smart.
Really?
We were looking at, so by far, if you look at it as a pie, the biggest chunk of our pie is lip products. Okay, our lipsticks, we have 4 different types, and they have a cult following. We can't keep them in stock.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
So we start with the semi-automatic lipstick filling. That's what I'm looking for. So we'll start with lipstick.
But then for one lipstick, to produce different colors, you need different machines. You can clean it.
It has a tank.
Right. So you can.
So what we call bulk filling goes into the tank.
Right.
And then it's siphoned into. And then you clean the tank, and there are SOPs, but also sanitize karke you clean it, and then you put in another shade.
Right. But that, I mean, to me, wo production time काफी लगता होगा. I mean, it's like it seems like it sounds easy.
It's
but
not
sure,
easy, and Aabroo, you're so gonna come. By the way, but it's gonna be kind of like Willy Wonka, right?
मैं वही सोच रही हूँ. That's what I was visualizing.
Can you imagine Maram? Like, in the lipstick factory, we let her loose. It is difficult, but production is. I mean, my current lipstick supplier has state-of-the-art, fully automatic machines. Okay, lipstick ki. They can produce 24,000 units a day.
Wow.
24,000 a day.
How large is this setup, by the way? Is it in a room? Is it small?
My lipstick supplier is a huge factory. It's one of the largest.
वो तो होगी, but let's say
मेरा setup
जो आप करना चाह रही हैं, तो वो.
It's not going to be a room. It'll have to be a facility, like a small factory.
Like these, I'm just trying to imagine because I've not seen production of
I know
makeup.
what you
So
mean.
Like, what size of factory is it like?
Imagine, okay, so I was looking into it. I'm not 100% sure, but say we only start with lipsticks. Basically we need about industrial space, about 2 canals of it. So that's what we're looking at. And देखो production runs होती हैं. Like the machine isn't at it every day.
Right.
What
24 hours नहीं चल रहा होता.
नहीं, and रोज नहीं चल रहा होता. It's according to what you need.
Right.
The 24,000 a day wali machines, they are amazing. I've seen them. It's like the Bugatti of lipstick filling. It's very sexy to me. I don't know if it's very sexy to anyone else.
Machines मुझे तो, I mean, it's just
tuck करके they're just coming out.
Yeah.
However, because हमने सिर्फ अपने लिए बनानी है, it has to be semi-automatic.
Okay.
And my father's saying, he sat me down yesterday and said, don't get, sort of enthralled by the Bugatti machines, because he's got a lot of experience. He said, you're then at the mercy of the machine. And Pakistan mein power surges hoti hain, so many other issues. Wo machine fused, ho gayi to we're dead.
Yeah.
So we're doing semi-automatic. We're looking for semi-automatic. Where we've got a balance of efficiency and then there'll be human. And you know what I'm thinking? It's just an idea I'm toying with, Aabroo. But I think if they want, I would like to hire as many transgender workers as I can. What do you think about that?
I think that
Just employ them if they will.
like you could advertise like 100% workforce.
I mean,
if you
no,
want.
you see, 100% is really also with also skills and willingness.
Huh.
I mean, but I think it would be amazing if the preference is transgender people and women.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Hannah?
Oh man, we need
need
this openness and inclusivity,
right?
in a fun and sexy job.
In a sexy job. So I was saying that this is the vision of, I don't know how. Hopefully, I can execute it.
Inshallah, it sounds. I mean, that isn't it. Like, मुझे excitement हो रही है सुन के, because the way, I mean, you start a business idea with completely different, I think, plans and goals. Yeah. And then as you're in it, and 15 years later, now you're thinking, okay, I can
Aabroo,
even do
by
this.
The downside, I know I'm making it all sunshine and rainbows, but the downside is that it's almost, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. All my expertise of working with contract manufacturers, supply chain, it's it's not going to serve me for manufacturing.
Right.
And there's nobody in my team who knows manufacturing except Dad. So Dad, I'm going to be picking his brain a lot.
Did you train or take any courses and learning about makeup and products and
there's
all
no
of that?
courses for it. No.
Okay.
It's just a lot of research. Up to there's of
meetings
course,
and
up to you can buy whole handbooks on how to start your cosmetic brand. It's become very democratized. In the States, like even here, one salon can have their own brand.
Yeah.
It's private label, right?
Right.
We are not private label. But at the time, it was just literally, जो manufacturer email को respond करता था, I would actually fly out and meet them. Because it was either talking on the phone or email and convincing them that, hey, I'm a 25-year-old in Pakistan who wants to buy lipsticks was hard.
How have things, I mean, like you said, कि अब तो handbooks मिल जाती हैं, but in other regards, like, is the business climate or are they more open to having makeup brands open up, or do they facilitate you in any way? Is there less, let's say, taxes on you, or has that grown? Everything has grown?
No, it's still, there's no kind of subsidy or support. In fact, in Pakistan, and I understand the concept, okay? India has the same, which is basically, it's called protectionism. You protect certain industries,
right?
That to facilitate, to promote local production. But makeup has never been textile. I understand. I even understand. I understand many other niches. But then it's technical. But I think rice,
right?
Like
a crop
at high scale, right?
Right.
But with makeup, we've never had any kind of substantial manufacturing. And we've always historically had very high duties on makeup.
So, like, you've always only... Oh, you're right. You didn't grab the shit bar.
Sorry,
you didn't grab the top one.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nervous passenger.
But so any imports with your taxes, because you use your system is to import, right? You get it manufactured somewhere else.
Yes.
Yes, based on import. So whatever we're using in Pakistan has been manufactured elsewhere.
It has,
and then brought in.
Correct.
So, but you develop it here, or it's being developed.
It's developed to my standards.
Right.
By the factory. What will probably happen is that we have our own chemists who are not affiliated with factories. We invest in the formula.
Right.
Now, unless it's a stock formula, as I said, which is owned by the manufacturer. Okay.
Hmm.
What I'm talking to my manufacturers about, and I've had such long-standing relationships with them, especially one of the key ones is in Korea. So you know, one of our products, which is called the brightening base, it's a primer, moisturizer, and sunscreen. It was made in Korea since 2008, 10 years, 12 years before K-pop or K-beauty was even a thing.
Right.
So I've convinced him, that manufacturer, and several others, that they will support us, transfer the technology.
Oh, amazing.
So which means that we still buy everything from them in bulk. We don't get into getting our own raw materials. Buy everything from them in bulk. I'm giving away all my business secrets, but I love it. So then we're gonna buy in bulk from them, and my formulations will remain intact.
Right.
And then I've also been talking to a couple of Pakistani manufacturers. Fabulous for skincare. The level at which they've been able to produce my formulas. So a skincare formula is like a recipe, like a chocolate cake recipe. Itna ye dalna hai, itna ye dalna hai, itna ye dalna hai, and this is not color makeup, this is skincare.
Right.
It's much more straightforward. And they've been able to replicate my early formulas. Oh my God, they're amazing. Aabroo, I can't wait to sell them
Locally?
to you. Locally, but obviously all raw ingredients are imported.
Right.
And as long as...
But as long as they're available here, I'm just saying that...
no, they're available here, but you
amazing.
forget one thing. There are many brands who are so concerned with cost or cutting corners that it's what grade of ingredient do you want? What cost are you willing to pay? How much margin are you willing to give up to have quality?
Right.
Right? So those are... I mean, you can make a serum for 80 rupees and you can make a serum for 8,000 rupees.
Right.
And anywhere in between.
Right.
So we're doing a very happy medium, and हमारे जो benchmarks हैं are brands like The Ordinary and all the K-beauty brands. So हम उस benchmark पे बना रहे हैं.
Amazing.
And अभी तक तो 2 of the serums, I mean, they've come out fabulous.
Oh, wow, good luck with that too then.
Thank you.
इतना सब कुछ हो रहा है. It's like...
बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, and there's only one of me, and I want to retire soon. To an island where there's no emails.
How old were you when you started this?
25.
And you just recently celebrated a birthday.
I don't want to tell people how old I am, okay? I'm not like you. I'm going to fight age tooth and nail. It's a funny anecdote I want to tell you. So I have this really pretty fragrance display cabinet, okay? I've had it for a while. And it's basically a display cabinet, a really sexy one, and only has my fragrances in it.
Right.
So my daughter, who's 10,
Yeah.
who doesn't like makeup, is not girly, but loves fragrance, came to me and said, you know, Mama, when you're really, really old, can I have this fragrance almari? And I said, you know, Manaz, even when I'm really, really old, do you mean, Mama, when you're dead, can I have your fragrance? I said, I'll get you your own. Okay? You don't have to
secretly
wait.
wish.
And you know, so that is my view. Like, roots will be done and brows will be plucked and Botox will be topped up till the end. Aabroo, I'm telling you in the interview, Super Skin ki campaign is only coming to you and Maram, okay? So be ready.
Inshallah.
I loved your Instagram post about your work and the Luscious ad you did. It just took me down memory lane. You guys have also set a lot of standards in creative work.
Oh, thank you. I mean, वो मुझे भी भूल जाता है कई दफा, because when you're doing something for so long, you kind of take yourself for granted as well.
Yes, and it's people like, the way you introduced me, right? I needed to hear that. It not from a vanity point of view,
I
but just
know.
from validation.
Yeah.
And right back at you.
Thank you. Is there something that you would like to talk about that sometimes one walks away from a conversation or an interview that's being recorded and you say,
Yes.
"Yeah, this is what we should have talked. That person
One
didn't
of the
ask
things
me."
that I really want to address is I'm really happy that the Pakistani beauty industry, so that I say skin, hair, color, every makeup, is growing and thriving, and it's in all of our interests. मतलब आपस में, in all of our interests to build each other and build the industry.
Right.
Nobody's gonna make it
Right.
akele.
Right.
The one thing that I do feel is, and that I'm going to start working on, is some kind of regulation, because it's completely unregulated
In Pakistan?
Recently somebody I just want everybody to be careful, because I was recently gifted a face oil that's really, really famous on Instagram idhar in Pakistan, which somebody is making in small batches in their home. I suppose there's nothing wrong with that. So you could probably call it like
Organic.
a boutique seller,
Yeah.
instead of saying it's a brand, right?
Right.
It's like the way they would be on an Etsy store as opposed to Amazon. However, that oil didn't have its ingredients list on the dabba, which is criminal.
It is.
Okay, what if I'm allergic to peanut oil and it's in there, right?
Right.
Or safflower oil.
Right.
Second thing was that it didn't react well with my skin, and my skin can take anything. It's not sensitive.
Okay.
Matlab, bleach bhi main malti hu, everything you can think of, I'm not, and it really reacted badly. I'm still dealing with it, actually.
Oh, man.
So that's one thing that I did want to say, that in our interviews nobody talks about regulation. When you buy a product from Luscious Cosmetics, you know that it's safety tested. It's formulated by a founder who's been doing this and who lives, breathes this. There's a lot of private label products where people are buying from AliExpress or Alibaba and just putting their logo on it. There's nothing wrong with that, but those are very, very low grade formulations, very low grade, because Alibaba ke un factories ko pata hai that this is such a small order, it's not an important client. Even if they give you a messed up formula, you can't hold them responsible, right? We have supplier agreements, we have legal, we have stacks of legal stuff that and then we have quality checks, inspections.
But those are all, these systems have been installed by you as a company, so you're imposing them onto yourself. Is the government saying anything to you guys?
No, they're not.
Right?
Okay, and
so I'm saying to you, you're diligent.
The reason we're yes, and I'll tell you, I've been diligent from day one, and this is how I learned from my suppliers. They taught me, actually. And this is how brands around the world do it, the big brands. We follow those protocols. They've served us very well.
Right.
But I was saying that then just be careful that when you're buying, especially first copies of products that look like, Huda Beauty or Too Faced or whatever, those first copies are made from, pardon my French, but bird poop. Right. And they're made in these sweatshops. Cosmetics are like food.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I just wish that there was a little more regulation. We're ready for it because we already meet the criteria.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that I'm going to look into.
But it's surprising that there is none. There is no policy, no terms for somebody
policy,
who's...
but it's not just Pakistan. It's true in the States as well. The tightest regulation in the world is in the European Union. Oh. So itni tight hai, and then places like Dubai. So when we export to Dubai, you have to be registered with their health ministry. It's like per product, it's 90 files you have to submit.
One would think the US would also have.
The US doesn't.
Oh my gosh, so that's just lip service.
No, but then the thing
Duniya
is...
ke samne ek impression hai ki FDA approved and no animal testing
so the
and this
FDA,
and that.
does try their best, okay? But they're underfunded and there's very few people. FDA's largest purview is pharmaceuticals, okay?
Of course, and that's...
But one more thing. You see, they also know in Pakistan, if somebody gets cancer from your lip gloss,
right.
nothing's gonna happen. In the States, one gets it's a class action lawsuit, and you will be, you'll either go to jail or so it's kind of self-regulation.
Right.
So that's why I'm not worried about the States. I think EU regulation has become a little excessive. Shouldn't be so excessive.
Because then it's limiting you from even entering the market.
No, and then there are certain preservatives,
right,
which we can't use, which have historically been fine.
Right.
But just because the EU says, and then what that does is preservatives, the best, most studied preservatives, for example, parabens, best preservative possible, is not enough. And by preservative, I mean something that keeps your formula from developing mold, going bad, oxidizing, safety. Okay? There's not enough evidence that parabens cause cancer, but we don't use them either now because the consumer doesn't want them, and the EU said that you can't have them. So that's a bit boring and controversial regulatory stuff.
No, but I mean, it's important. मैं हैरान हो रही हूँ कि यहाँ पर other than the fact that they don't, I mean, import duties हैं या...
Import duties बहुत हैं, but regulation इस तरह नहीं है that, for example...
Which is bad as well.
अगर ingredients list एक चीज़ पे नहीं लिखी हुई या where it's made नहीं लिखा हुआ, you can't sell it.
Right. Not here, but here you can. Here you can get away with it.
Here you can.
So do you think you didn't change your method? You have your extremely just a quality assurance and QC karna or sara wo you've maintained and you brought the same standards to Pakistan.
Yes.
Like your product is not like yahan ke liye main halka wala.
No, but I started here. So there was never a comparison. Right? So I've only branched out overseas 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right.
My start has been here,
but
and the intention was to give our market the best possible stuff.
And when you were doing your research, उस वक्त जो available stuff were they following the practices that you set up for yourself?
कुछ नहीं था.
And even now,
उस वक्त there used to be smuggled stuff, consignments में आता था mix bag, 2 lipsticks एक brand की, you know. I didn't really have any benchmarks at the time.
Right.
All I knew was that I'd been living in Boston for 5 years, loving buying makeup, and I wanted to bring that. But it was quite naive at the time, but I wanted to bring that to Pakistan.
But that's the thing now, how come, I'm trying to just wrap my brain around it, okay, how come you didn't do the easy way out and also get in a shipment of, low grade stuff and just package it, and which is unregulated and being sold and people are making money off of it.
It's my name, my reputation,
right? So why don't other people care about the fact that they will be even to the point that they might harm someone else's skin?
They don't. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff coming into Pakistan. Khair, ab to ban hi ho gaya. But there's a lot of stuff coming into Pakistan. It bothers me also. So these brands that fly by night, suddenly you'll see their counters everywhere. By the time the returns start coming in, they've vanished. Okay, because some distributor decided that he's going to bring this brand in, liquidate it, sell it, and then disappear. I'm trying to build for the next 100 years or 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So
they're short term.
I've been building for 15 years.
Right.
The reason we are the top selling makeup brand in Pakistan is not an accident.
Right.
There is so much competition now, Aabroo,
right,
compared to what was. I mean, there's brands popping up everywhere, local also and imported also.
Right.
But how do we keep our edge?
Right.
If I start selling subpar stuff, I can't survive for another 50 years. It's really funny though, I don't know who's gonna run Luscious Cosmetics after me. My daughter, wants to join the Air Force.
Oh, amazing.
So I have not given birth to an entrepreneur. At least abhi tak to nahi lag raha. But you know what she said? It's really interesting. And I know you have your daughter, and it's really interesting how daughters sense these things, and kids these days are much smarter. So she said, Mama, I don't want to run my own business. And if she had said that to my dad would be like, why? What? But I was very, very understanding. She said, Mama, I see the way you are. Like, you wake up and the first thing you do is you open your emails on your phone and you're making these facial expressions. And she just decided that I don't want this life, and I really respect that.
Right. Absolutely.
Interesting, huh?
It is.
That she just said, I don't want to run my own business. I want a very well-paying job. I said, but I don't know if the Air Force is
fits the bill.
Fits the bill. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being employed and going up in the ranks.
Absolutely. But uske liye you are. I mean, it's a legacy for her to even enjoy from a distance if she doesn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And
let's see.
Inshallah, I hope you go public. Log shares kharide.
So the IPO.
बढ़ती जाए.
Yeah. So the whole thing is that I think we'll be really ready for an IPO once I've pivoted 70% of revenue from domestically manufactured items, because investors and even the market, they don't like uncertainty, right? So this cosmetic ban, people are not going to forget it,
right?
Even if it ends, right, the uncertainty has been, the gauntlet has been thrown, that any date, you can't access product,
right?
So until I get to about 70% domestic revenue, and I think it'll be great, then we can IPO.
Oh, good luck.
You must buy some shares.
Of course. That will be everybody's investment. But that's the thing, people think very short term, or I would just say because they don't have a path, they don't have an example to see कि हाँ ये एक brand था, it's makeup, and it's grown to this level. You're doing that. You are paving the way, and once you have IPOs, I mean, can you imagine how many people would be like, oh, let's not think small. Let's not think small anymore. So
I hope so.
You're setting.
I also want to explain, like, I really want to, the one example I want to set is to young people, old people, everybody in Pakistan, is that entrepreneurship is alive and well for the long haul.
Yeah.
And there is success to be found, and it doesn't have to be shortcuts.
Yeah. Thank you, Meherbano.
I think
this sounded like a nice rounded up conversation, and
we've had the best time.
I hope so. Other than the oh shit moments in the traffic.
Listen, yes, and I'm sorry, like I kind of
no, I'm usually a good driver.
No, you're really good.
I've not had this reaction.
No, it's the rest of them. Like they just, did you see the rickshaw? They drifted into us. We didn't do anything wrong. This is amazing. I enjoyed this so much. When it comes on, फिर मुझे